presentation, sports information, in the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, they work in your faces, grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports all plays, network. All sports all plays, network. We on top of our game. All sports all plays, all sports all plays.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is TDC Touchdown Crew. With me, I got my boy Joe, and I got my boy Mike on the mic down there. What's up, everybody? How are y'all doing?
Living, man.
Just enjoying a cold, dreary Western Pennsylvania day.
Oh, man, I'm enjoying Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I don't know how they do it in the West
Why you got to
Coast,
rub it in?
I'm just saying, I don't know how they do it getting up this early in the morning. This is early. Hey, so what we're going to do, we're going to start off on Monday, how everything went on Monday. Hey, let's talk about the Rams and the 49ers game. Go ahead, Mike.
Man, I hate everybody. I hate everybody talking about Odell is a team cancer. Odell is this. Odell is that. He's already got beef with Stafford. He's yelling on the sideline. What are we talking about, bro? It is, first of all, that game, Odell had been there a span of 3 days. Robert Woods, who's the number 2 target and arguably one of their best targets outside of an amazing Cooper Kupp. Like, Cooper Kupp's doing outstanding things. Robert Woods could be a number 1 wide receiver somewhere else. I'll go there and say that. Like, he can go to Cleveland right now and probably be the number 1 wide receiver if his ACL is healthy. I think you're better than Jarvis. I think you're better than Poole. I think you're better than all those guys. But for them to criticize Odell the way they did, we haven't even talked about the game yet, but the entire game was on Odell's shoulders. At the end of the day, you have Aaron Donald, you have Jalen Ramsey, you have Higbee, you have Kupp, you have Stafford. They have a great O-line, and you have Sean McVay. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying you're going to blame the guy who's been there a total of 3 days. And Coach, you and I know better than anybody. Joe, I don't know your background, but I'm sure you know as well. It's something where when you're arguing on the sideline, I hate when it's just shown on TV and it's like, oh, those two have problems. No, that's just communication. That happens all the time. Guys argue. Guys get into it. Doesn't mean they have beef. Just means they both are athletes. They both are professionals, and they disagree about a certain play, or they think it should be ran a certain way, and they're trying to get on the same page as that, because if they don't, things like this happen. And I understand the Rams are kind of slipping through the cracks right now. Definitely losing on the chart of the top 5. Definitely are. But I think it's way too early to just sit here and say, oh, well, the Rams are falling off. The Rams were a first half team, and now they're looking a little bit slower. I think Stafford's played great. My biggest critique right now, and hats off to Kyle Shanahan and all them for game planning, because, I mean, you did it without Trey Lance. You did it with Jimmy Garoppolo. So Jimmy's proven his point. All respect to Jimmy. But I feel like the Rams are just so one-dimensional offensively, and that's why we're starting to see a little bit of a backstep from Matthew Stafford. I'm looking at it and I'm saying teams are only preparing for Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and so on and so forth. They're not preparing for, who is it, Sony Michel and Henderson? They're not, because they're only averaging like 20 to 30 yards per game, both of them. Like combined, it's like 60 yards rushing. We had Matthew Stafford the other night, had 13 yards. Sony Michel had 20. Matthew Stafford almost had more yards than you. That's it. I think the team is just becoming more one-dimensional. I think you maybe hit up Le'Veon Bell. We're going to get into that in a little bit. Maybe you hit up a Todd Gurley, see where he's at. I think there's a lot of ways you can do about this. I think not trading for running back mid-season did kind of hurt them. I liked Von Miller, but I would have liked to see them maybe go after another running back, maybe go after someone else to kind of make them more dimensional from an offensive standpoint. I think it's really going to be their Achilles heel.
Joe, what you think?
I mean, I think the two names that really shouldn't be talked about coming out of Monday night are Trey Lance and Odell Beckham Jr. because neither one of them had anything to do with going into this game or coming out of this game. I mean, the 49ers, the thing that Shanahan does well, which as a head coach with a losing record is not many things, is when he is able to get a ground game schemed up and get players out there, whether they're the guys he depended on before, like a Matt Breida and things of that sort, or a Kyle Juszczyk, or somebody like Wilson who all of a sudden is appearing out of nowhere. Like, it doesn't matter. If those guys up front block, I mean, people forget, they have the highest paid left tackle in football in Trent Williams. I mean, they're trying to run the ball. Garoppolo only throwing 19 times is the exact offense that Shanahan wants for that team because that's the way they've been built. When it comes to the Rams, I mean, Mike, you're right. They're not a running team. But the biggest concern, I think, when the Stafford trade was made, and I wasn't high, I actually thought Detroit won the trade just because of the draft picks they got and the equity to try and do something down the line. The biggest issue to me has always been Stafford 10 yards and more down the field. We know what he can do. We know his cannon. We know he can fit it into spaces. That Rams offense is lethal whenever it's the 10 yards and shorter. It's the screen game. It's some of those quick passes to the guys. And Stafford over his career hasn't shown that he can do that. I mean, when Goff took him to the Super Bowl, Robert Woods had a good season. Cooper Kupp had a good season. We had all these guys having good seasons, but it's that really first 10 to 15 yards where McVay schemes out his offense and is able to catch people off guards, whether it's the wide receiver screens or the running back screens. Stafford hasn't really been great at that in his career. I mean, he just hasn't. And you're asking him to come into a new offense and carry this and all that, and he's looked great at times, and he's also looked really bad at times. To be fair, he's looked like Matt Stafford. Like, I think it's fair to say there's been times in Detroit where he looked exactly like this, where he looked like a top 5 quarterback at times, and other times he looked like a guy who was a wasted number 1 overall pick. I mean, there's really not much of an in-between with him at times. And coming out of the game, again, I think the Rams, Robert Woods going down is a huge issue. He was actually the number 1 2 years ago. People forget, like, he was really the guy that worked with Goff, and they had a great chemistry. Then Cooper Kupp started to get some, some targets and really got be able to show what he did. But to me right now, they're a second-tier team in a conference with a lot of second-tier teams. There's no alpha in the conference. So it's not like a thing to say, if they don't get the number 1 seed, they're still in position to fight for it. And if not, there are going to be a bunch of other teams right around the same record who they're going to have to compete with. So I don't see this like Super Bowl or bust. I know that's kind of the mentality. Like you said, trade for more. It's hard to trade contracts in the NFL, and they are tight up against the cap. I mean, there's a reason Denver ate $9 million of Von Miller's salary because the Rams couldn't take it on. So When you hamstring yourself like that, it's really hard to go out and trade. I mean, you just have to depend on your system.
Right. Yeah. So when you meant conference, you just meant like overall NFC conference or just the West? Yeah.
I mean, both. Right now you have Arizona who's coming back to the pack with Kyler Murray being gone, and the NFC in general. I mean, right now every team at the top of the NFC has 2 losses. Dallas has 2 losses. Green Bay has 2 losses. The Rams have 2 losses. Arizona has 2 losses. Like, who's separating right now? We don't know. Every week is going to be a crapshoot. It's a Yahtzee cup where you're just throwing the dice out there and seeing what lands.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the biggest issue is for the Rams situation. I think it's Matthew Stafford. I think, and here's why I say that. You look at the last 2 games they lost. He threw a pick 6. Even you can't run the ball when you're already down 21 points going into the halftime, or you're down. When they played Tennessee, he threw a pick 6. Like, it's a lot of things, a lot of turnovers. And I think, and I say Matthew Stafford because, and I'm putting on Sean McVay because you went on that whole, I got a strong arm, I got a guy that can throw the ball. Now he's got some receivers and this and that. Go back to what you do best. What gets you into the playoffs? What got you to the Super Bowl? Running the ball, screens. And of course, I really thought they was gonna run the ball a lot more, especially if you got Odell Beckham on a Tuesday. And then you get 4 days of practice and trying to figure it out that, here we go, let's just throw it up. No. And to come in on Jay's, Odell Beckham has to learn the system. I think he'd be better. I think they'll be better this week because people have to realize you have a talent like Odell, but you're trying to figure out what what is his best, what is his attributes, what can he works with the team and still match what we're trying to do. And I think
the Rams have a bye week this week. This helps them. They have a bye week. They actually have 3 losses, but they're going into a bye week where Odell's going to have 2 weeks to learn the playbook and get acclimated to that offense.
Yeah, and I think biggest issue for the Rams is staying healthy. I've said it from the beginning. Thing about the Rams because of how you got rid of all your draft picks and you got all these top players at these positions. They have to be healthy because if one is out, it's not really a legit second string player. You're talking about it's a third, fourth string player that's taking this spot. But I haven't been really sold on Matthew Stafford. I have to see it consistently. I know Mike's getting ready to say something because I know you've seen him in the NFC North plenty of times, but I have to see it consistently in the playoffs. But I think if Sean McVay goes back to what he does best, he runs the ball, run the jet sweeps, and you throw the screens, and then you can get the vertical, the play action, and everything else going. Now that works both for everybody. I think that'd be fine. Right. But the whole situation about Odell, everybody's gonna make this every week about Odell because of all the issues with Odell. One thing about it, man, and I think Jay Ness said it. He said it in the chat. This is it for Odell. This is your last chance to get a big contract. So he's not going to be – he's in the learning.
I thought you meant like NFL-wise. You mean contract-wise? You mean like big deal?
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, I agree.
But if you really think about it, we're talking about NFL. That's what you play for. Play for 2 things. You play for your money and you play for a ring. Those are the only 2 things that really matter. And I think for him, this is it. This is like his last – he needs somebody like Sean McVay to say, hey, man, Odell did good. He did his thing, and he worked. He didn't complain, and it's. So he's going to be straight A, perfect, yes, sir, no, sir, I'm a hustle, still be himself. Now, speaking of that, I know that you commented on it earlier, they should have got Le'Veon Bell. Hey, he's a free agent. He's open. Do you think the Rams should hire Bell to come in and play running back?
I think it's definitely an interesting conversation, and why I say that is kind of what tied me into what I was going to ask you too, Coach. So I got something for you too. I'm looking at what happens to Patrick Mahomes. Early on, it didn't look that bad. When CEH goes down, who's not even that big of an offensive production from them, not from the red zone or any way, shape, or form, but he's there. We start to see Patrick Mahomes throwing more interceptions. We start to see them game planning more for Patrick Mahomes from a passing perspective, completely ignoring Darren Williams, completely ignoring the run game. And you're kind of starting to see that now with the Rams. And I feel like with Stafford, it's a little trickier because he has been known to throw interceptions. That is his one thing about him. I think he's a great decision maker. I just think he takes a lot of risks. And I think that's one of his biggest problems. For the pick 6, as far as that goes, I understand, Coach. It is a quarterback's fault why you threw a pick 6. Hey, my boy, but there's 11 of y'all. Someone grab that man. Whoever was getting covered by him should have him.
But that's the thing. That's the thing about it. It all depends on the route. Like the one when they played Tennessee.
McVay, because of the way he's setting it up, you kind of have everybody out there. Everybody's on their own island. You can gab a pick 6 like that. That's it. I think there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, but it's your decision making. Like I said,
right.
The perfect one, the Tennessee game. He instead of taking the sack, he maybe getting the safety, he just chunked it right into the guy, defender's hand. He walked in for the end zone. Like you can't give up touchdowns.
Right. Yeah, I feel you.
Because if the games are close, you have a chance. But when because the Rams are not built to come up 14 points or 21 points. They're not built like that. Their offense is not designed for that. They don't have the guys that really just truly do that. One thing that was great about the Rams is once they establish the run, because once you have a good run game, now you have to make a choice. You got to bring the safety in the box.
Right.
So now Cooper Kupp can do all these double moves and he gets the one-on-one advantages. But if you just come out 5 wide and you just chunking it, now the safety doesn't have to come in the box. Because guess what? You know the quarterback's not going to run the ball.
Right. And that's one of the things too, though, with Le'Veon. It's a tricky. I mean, you might as well. You might as well just close your eyes and throw the dart on the board and just try to do it, because it's definitely something. I look at it and I say, early on, why I think they look so good offensively is because Henderson was actually doing his thing. I mean, he wasn't going over 100 yards, but he had 60s to 70s. Like, he was at least carrying the rock. Now we're seeing a total of 60 yards from the two in Sony and Henderson. So, Coach, let me know what Henderson's first name is, because I feel so disrespectful, by the way.
But Mike, the issue is, again, is not the last two games that they lost.
Right.
They were down like 14 points.
Oh no, 14. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying, when it comes down to the playoffs, you are already a one-dimensional team who's been getting exposed. You better have a second game plan in case what's happening with Matthew Stafford right now continues to happen, because you'll be screwed.
It's Darren Henderson.
It's Darren. I was gonna say Damian, but I didn't want to be disrespectful.
But I mean, that's the only thing. Like, the whole issue about the Rams, like, you can say, oh, they're not running the ball, but when you go down, it's 21-7 going into halftime. They get the ball back. It's 24-7. It's like, okay, we have to throw the ball, especially when you're playing the two teams you're playing against. What do the 49ers want to do? Run the ball. What does Tennessee want to do? Run the ball. You can't, when you play against teams like that can actually run the ball, and you're down 14, 17, 21 points, you can't come back, because every time they get a first down, remember, that clock is just ticking. That clock is eating. So you now going into halftime, going in the third quarter, you have 4, maybe 5 possessions to score.
Right.
So that's the thing. He can't throw pick six. You can throw interceptions, because guess what? At least you give your defense a chance to make a play or give them a field goal.
Can we talk about the defense, though? Jimmy Garoppolo carving them up. I find that very, I understand, and I kind of want Joe's perspective on this one. It's definitely something where, I understand Stafford did not have a great game. I understand that defense was on the field a lot. But when you look at the names who are on that defense, and I'm a Bears fan, so I do not pity you for having to be on the field the entire time, because that's all we do. I literally see Justin Fields for 5 minutes in a 2-hour game. That's just how it goes. But it's definitely something I'm looking at. It 38 points with Jimmy Garoppolo. George Kittle wasn't even that effective. Like, Joe, how do you feel about that? And do you think the defense has kind of been letting up in the last couple weeks?
George Kittle was effective in the run game, which is actually where he's better at. Believe it or not, he's a better run blocker than he is a pass catcher right now because of his injuries and stuff. But, I mean, again, the Rams defense, we know it's built on stars. And when stars don't come to play, or they get schemed out, you have to have other guys step up. The problem with the Rams, again, it comes back to their offense. When you have a salary cap issue like you have to, I mean, they had to include, or they traded Michael Brockers to Detroit because they needed the cap space. After Michael Brockers, shit on Jared Goff after he was traded. I mean, like, you have to make those moves sometimes. And Coach talked about it. What's the one concern with the Rams? Injuries. Well, when you're being pushed around like that, maybe guys take a step back. Maybe they're not as, willing to get in there and try and make the stops. And again, you're going against a team, like you guys both said, who wants to run the ball. The concern is that Jimmy Garoppolo, for all his limitations, is still a good quarterback. If you win an NFL game throwing the ball 19 times, I don't ask, what did your quarterback do wrong? I said, what did the other team do wrong? Because if you win a game with 19 throws, then you're doing something right, whether your defense is getting a bunch of pick sixes and turnovers, or you're running the ball for 150, 200. We saw a game last year where Cleveland ran on Dallas 300 yards. Like, nobody after that game asked, well, what did Baker Mayfield do wrong? Nothing. He handed the ball off. What did Jimmy Garoppolo do wrong? Nothing. He didn't turn the ball over. He handed the ball off, and he made the passes and plays that he needed to. But I want to bring this back to what you were saying about Le'Veon Bell. I mean, I saw reports, they cut him because guys are coming back healthy. Their wish is that he signs with the practice squad and remains in Baltimore because they actually like what he's brought to the team. So, but if I'm the Rams, I don't want Le'Veon Bell. Again, you have an offensive line right now that is struggling to run block and pass block at times. We've seen the reason Stafford is throwing some of these pick sixes and interceptions is because he doesn't have the time. The whirly will in the end zone, 2 weeks ago against Tennessee, he's in the grasp. Like, it's not like he just decided to spin around. Like, he's getting hit. He's getting pressured, and that's the concern. And Le'Veon Bell has a running style that I'm not sure fits with the Rams' offensive line. The reason
Right.
Baltimore has been able to sustain success with, it seems, whoever they put back there, whether it's Freeman or Bell or one of 1,000 other running backs who aren't injured, is because they have a scheme and those guys run the ball all the time. The problem with the Rams is they don't run the ball all the time. So not only do they have to improve themselves in an area where they're already lacking, they have to adjust to a guy whose running style is like nobody's in the league. I mean, does anybody run like Le'Veon, at least successfully? Like,
Right.
probably not. So again, that's your concern. I mean, in all honesty, if you're the Rams and you want to sign Le'Veon Bell, put him as a slot back. Put him as a slot receiver. I mean, because that's what he did in Pittsburgh. If he's healthy, make him run routes, let him run the underneath, run the screen game through him. But I just don't see how it's beneficial to the Rams. Again, this reminds me of that Eagles team where it was a bunch of names that everybody knew. You know, they signed Nnamdi Asomugha from the Raiders. They signed, all these guys, and it's like, oh, we're the dream team. And the Rams, to their credit, haven't come out and said that. But eventually it's like, okay, you have all these players, but what are they doing?
Right. And I think we're also, and Coach made it a point earlier too. I've watched Matthew Stafford for a very long time. And it's kind of giving me that vibe. And I hate to say it, it's very early on to say it, but it's that vibe where it's mid-season and you can feel that he just wants to finish this season healthy, that he's at this point right now where he's kind of nicked up. You could feel it. You could see it. You could see kind of the difference. At least I can tell by body language, at least with him, when he's banged up, when he's not, because you can tell when it's Thanksgiving primetime Matthew Stafford, and you can tell when it's week 17, I have the Detroit Lions offensive line, Matthew Stafford. Like, prior to Penei Sewell, that man had me out there. Me and Coach were out there blocking for him. They had horrible individuals out there. But I'm starting to think that, like, if we really don't bring in a second part of this offense, I believe there's 3 phases really of every single offense. So there's a bunch of phases of the defense. We can talk about it all day. But if you don't bring in that number 2 phase, and then that's being the run game, I truly do think this man finishes the season probably on an injury, and we've seen it every single year for how many years now. I think you're starting to see him get beat. You're starting to see him get caught up. They're not blocking the way they were in the beginning of the year. The Rams' offensive line really did surprise me this year. They got a lot better, but they are slowing down a little bit. The problem is when you take that chance with Stafford for all these picks, that's his one knock. He's not a man made of glass, but he's got little parts in his body that are made of glass. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like a situation where it's every single week to week. Like, this guy, it's not RG3. But if you don't block him and you don't protect him, you best believe he's going to tear a muscle. He's going to break a bone. It just happens to him. It's just always happened to him throughout his career in Detroit. And I'm starting to think, I know Le'Veon's a shot in the dark, but somehow, some way, you either got to do that to motivate Henderson and Michelle, or you got to do it so that he can come over and just at least change the game plan. Because those 3 phases, you got your play caller, you got Sean McVay, he's great. You got your offense from a passing perspective. But if you don't have a run game, Matthew Stafford's going to get eaten up, and he just can't physically take these hits. And that's no knock on him, because he's been taking these hits for 10-plus years in the worst organization of all of sports. And I will go as far to say as the Detroit Lions are the worst organization in all of sports. Like, it is that bad, and he's just at this phase in his career. If this was prime 27-year-old Matthew Stafford, I have no problem with this. But, yeah, you're in your 30s. He's like, 33, 34. You have to look at it like that and say, we need to help him out. We need to make sure that the ball is not always in his hands. We need to make sure that, like Coach said, how can you run the ball when you're already down 21 points? Well, the problem with that is you come into this game hot. You come in hostile because you don't have game management. You can't run the ball. You can't run the clock out because you can't run it. You're just punting then. You're going to look like the Chicago Bears. 3 and outs, 3 and outs, 3 and outs. It's going to look horrible. So you're really on this kind of aggressive and passive, not less passive way, to where you're like the Kansas City Chiefs. We have to sling it down the field, and that's creating turnovers. You're creating pick sixes. You're making bad decisions, and you're getting beat because of it. I'm looking at it like that. I mean, if they continue on this way they're going, Arizona's going to be a clear-cut favorite to win the division. But, again, Joe mentioned earlier, D-Hop's got to show up. A lot of other guys got to show up, and they're not healthy either. So I think it's a toss-up. I think it goes week to week.
Told you that, Mike. Early in the year about the Cardinals.
Matt
But
Matt Stafford is a used car that you have to change the oil every 5,000 miles instead of 10,000 miles. He might last you a long time, but you kind of wish you had something a little bit more efficient.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I just think Sean McVay got happy with the arm. He got excited with the arm, and he didn't put him in the best positions. Because, like I said, we're talking about the last 2 games you lost. You lost the last 2 games. Like I said, those 2 games that you lost, it was 2 pick six. I mean, and they were down. Like, it was what, 24-3 in the third quarter against the Titans. It was 24-7 in the third quarter against the 49ers. And there's no such thing as a run game because you're trying to play catch up, especially if your defense can't stop their run. Man, that's the thing about the 49ers, man. If 49ers is a hit and miss team. But if you go up on the 49ers, they can't come back because they can't. Jimmy can't throw it. He can't make it. He can't win a game for you. But you give him a 14-point lead. Oh, he can run the ball. Then, hey, Shanahan can make all kinds of little formations and passes. You see Debo back there at the running back position. He was at the slot getting screens. Like, there's a lot of stuff that he can do, which that's one thing about their offense. With both of them, really, if they're up. But Le'Veon Bell, nah, man. No, I think he's done.
That's why I really do think it's a shot in the dark.
I think Le'Veon Bell is just pretty much he's at that point where he's done. Because you gotta look at him. Pittsburgh let you go. You didn't do well at the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
You went to Kansas City. Then you went to Baltimore. Like, except the Jets, those other 3 are good organizations. You know what I mean? Like, Pittsburgh is a great organization. Kansas City Chiefs is booming right now. All they're missing is a running back.
Right.
Ravens had no running backs
and an entire defense. But I hear you, Coach.
You can't say entire defense. They're winning now. They win in the division.
I can still say it. At the
end of the day, they're getting better. But that's a whole nother story. So I just truly believe, honestly, with the way Le'Veon runs the ball, because when you watch this year and you hear a lot of people talk, the O-line has been trash.
Yeah.
A lot of it's been trash. And a lot of it, and the reason for me, I really believe that the line is bad is because everything now is Zoom. They don't do all the coaching. You don't get all the coaching and teaching and technique. You need that with the linemen.
Right.
Part of that is the CBA they signed too. They wanted fewer padded practices. They didn't want to be in the facility as much. So this is as much the players' fault as it is the organization.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think that and the downfall of what's going to hurt this is the line, because the line is the most important thing. Because you can take a receiver quarterback can go anywhere and catch and throw footballs. You can work on your routes. The coach can give you skills like, hey, these are the routes you're running. Boom. Same as a running back. A running back can do all kinds of drills. DB's the same way. Linebacker.
Oh, as a safety, bro, you can literally watch the film and just stay in shape. That's it. That's all you got to do.
For a lineman, which has been terrible on a lot of teams, they haven't been working together, because you got to work together, because when they get to stunning and twisting and everything else, like, you got to have that communication. I think that's one of the biggest issues that we're missing. That all linemen, a lot of linemen are.
Right, but Coach, I think this goes all the way back to Pittsburgh. I thought he was done in Pittsburgh and I wanted your perspective on it, Joe. You too. It's something where with athletes of that level, Le'Veon wasn't the greatest route runner. He wasn't the greatest shifty kind of person. What he was super athletic, and whether it be an ACL injury, whether it be some kind of catastrophic injury, you lose that second gear. But by holding out a year. And I understand, you were still at home and you were still practicing and you were trying to get your bag, and that's understandable. But I think he lost his second gear in the NFL by missing that season. I think he lost it. He lost that drive. He lost that second motion that gets him going. I definitely do think he lost it right then and there, because he didn't look the same after that, and he hasn't looked the same after that. And I wanted your opinion on it, because I think when in the NFL, when you do miss a season like that and you aren't actually on the field, you do lose that second gear.
I think here's the issue with Le'Veon. When he was with Pittsburgh, you got to remember you had AB,
right?
Like you had receivers, like there was a legit receiving core, and then you had Ben at a younger age, so he was decent. So then now you had to really like treat your defense against them. So it's like, okay, am I gonna let AB beat us over the top, or am I gonna let Bell? And when Bell, and the type of running back Bell is not a hole hitter. He doesn't hit the hole. He's a patient guy. So when you go to the Jets, where everything is awful, you don't have a receiver out there. You don't have a real. Sam Darnold has a strong arm, but he was decent. Now the O-line is suspect. Now you can't bounce around like this and wait. Like, you got to hit it. And that's the same thing even with the Chiefs. Like, you can't bounce around. And I think that's one of the biggest issues for Le'Veon is that he's done that so far. He did it when he was at Michigan State, and he's doing it. He did it when he was with Pittsburgh. He doesn't fit the schemes, especially nowadays offense. Like, you got to hit it. Like, you have to be able to hit it. And I think that's the one knock. Even when you play with the Ravens, you can't run quarterback keep or all these play actions and everything, and you're dancing. That's one of the biggest issues for him. It's the fact they're like, well, everybody's getting healthy. So technically, he still was a fourth string running back or third string running back.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't want trying to cut you off there, Coach.
No, go ahead, Joe. You good?
Patience and athleticism are rewarded until you lose them. The thing with Bell is his patience as a running back was rewarded because he had the athleticism to match it. That he could run down the line. He could kind of almost float down the line and float into these zones and see where the hole was, and then be able to take off. The problem then is when you lose that little bit of athleticism, because the difference is if you have an injury and you're out for the year, you are rehabbing that injury. The team is in contact with you, and as much of a negative mental space as you can get into recovering from the injury, you have a positive outlook where you can look and say, I'm working to get back to this. The difference is when Bell took that year off, he wasn't around the team. He didn't have anybody who was close to him with the team, his friends, his teammates, coaching staff, things like that, who were telling him, his ultimate goal was not to play football. His ultimate goal was to be the highest paid running back to play football. That's the difference. When you ask a guy, hey, if you could have one more year at the end of your career, what do they all say? Yeah, I would love one more year. Why? It's usually not about the money. It's because you don't want to give it up. The difference is Le'Veon looked and said, I'm willing to give it up, which, again, in hindsight was a very bad decision. I thought in the moment was a bad decision. I was never keen on him. I thought he was a bulkier version of a Cordell Stewart where he could do a lot of different things, but I'm not sure he was a master of any of them. He was a really good passing back. He was a really good running back. I don't think he was elite in any. I think he benefited, like you said, from Ben Roethlisberger, from AB, from that offense, things of that sort. It opens up a lot of holes when you have to worry about Antonio Brown running 50 yards down the field, catching a ball. But the biggest issue is, again, in 2021 is Le'Veon Bell. What does he do good? What's the best thing that Le'Veon Bell does? And if you can tell me that, I mean, great. Is he a goal line back? I'm not sure because he's pretty tall. I think, he has to get low, and I'm not sure he has the athleticism to really push the pile consistently like he did. Is he great in the screen game? I don't know. Baltimore didn't really seem to want to use him like that. So again, if I'm investing in this player by any organization, what does he do well? I mean, he went to Kansas City where Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been a bust, flat out, and couldn't get on the field. And whether that was his attitude or their scheme or a combination of a billion things, he basically took shots at Andy Reid leaving Kansas City. Like, it was just one of those things where it's like, what are you doing? Like, what? I'm going to give, I know Le'Veon Bell obviously not watching. Here's some free advice. What do you want out of the NFL in the small amount of time that you have left to play in the NFL? Plain and simple. And if you can't answer that question in less than 10 words, then I'm not sure that you should be in the NFL.
But I think, Joe, it's not even that. It's you're no different from the other 6-7 running backs. When he, like you said, back then, and you made it for example, what is he good at? Nothing. He was just the first before the Christian. He was the first. I can run routes, I can catch the ball. I mean, everybody has one of them now. If you really think about it, I think that was the thing about it is when he came in the league, it was only a handful of running backs could do what he could do. Mm-hmm. Now you say the Patriots have one, the Saints have one, Carolina has one. Shoot, Leonard Fournette developed to be able to catch the ball for the Bucks. Montgomery for the Bears, like even the Packers, like all these guys now have what he can do. So it's like, I don't have to pay you this amount of money. Like I can give you $3 or $4 million because you're just a dime a dozen because you're not special anymore. Like you gotta be special to want these checks. And I think that's the issue. He can't do anything. You're no different. Because one thing about it is when you talk about running backs, and if you pick any good team that has a running back, he has something that stands out better than everybody else.
When a team sport is played by individualists, it's not going to work out in the long run. It's just not. If somebody is in it for them, and this is, you call it a harsh criticism, he was in it for him. He walked away from the team because he wanted more money. It had nothing to do with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It could have been any one of the 32 teams. It would have been in the same exact position. So when you are a selfish player or a selfish person in a team game, you either need to separate the two or get out.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree 100%. All right, moving on, man. Did anybody watch Bridgewater?
You have to be more specific.
Like when Bridgewater didn't want to tackle the guy.
Good.
On the fumble, he didn't want to tackle him. Like, what's your take on that? I know for me being a coach, that's one of the selfish things that you could ever do. Because when we're trying to win this game and you just let him score because you're so busy worried about not trying to get hurt or anything like that. Like I think even you could take Tom Brady. Tom Brady's the oldest quarterback. He at least would have attempted. Not saying he would have tackled him. The oldest man on the team, at least. You see kickers. Kickers, at least they'll throw their body. They ain't gonna because they don't practice tackling. And then you do this. And you playing for a contract too, because you only got a 1-year contract.
I get the criticism of Teddy. I love Teddy Bridgewater, by the way. We actually have a category on our pod that's named after Teddy Bridgewater. So I love Teddy Bridgewater. The biggest concern is, though, you said about the injury. Baker Mayfield and the Browns right now are struggling with the torn labrum because on an interception, he tried to tackle the guy. I mean, there are certain instances where if you're going towards the sideline, you're kind of pinching them out. Maybe you dive at their feet. You can kind of control your body. If Teddy didn't feel he was in a position, I mean, they're in the playoff hunt. Like it or not, they're still a playoff team. They're a playoff caliber team. Teddy knows, like, hey, yeah, I probably should have tried to go after this guy, but what happens if I get hurt? So again, it's a little bit of selfishness, but it's also a little bit of like the team feels I'm the best option. I beat out Drew Lock. Do I want to miss the next 3 to 5 weeks or be limited the rest of the season because I made it? And again, it was a crazy play. The fumble, I mean, it looked like it was a dead ball. Half the players seemed to have stopped. The guy kept running. To his credit, was it Darius Slay? Kept running because he didn't hear a whistle. Sometimes, they say play to the whistle and you don't hear it. So kudos to him. But I'm not – I give it like I blame him 30% and 70% I understand.
But if he makes the tackles, it's still a great chance you can win the game.
Maybe.
You're only down by 3. You were only down by 3.
But they still have the ball. I mean, they still have an opportunity to drain more clock, to score, to do all that. I mean, Mike, what's your thoughts? You're a little too quiet. You got a Cheshire cat smile there. It looks like you're getting ready to say something.
Yeah, man. It's a hard conversation. It really is. Because listen, we've all seen Friday Night Lights, the show, before. We all know what happens to Jason Street when he tries to tackle somebody. He gets paralyzed. It's a whole thing. And it's definitely something where, one, they don't really teach these guys how to tackle. You know what I mean? You don't game plan for stuff like this. Quarterbacks don't care like that. Two, it's really one of those things where I played safety. I played strong. I played free. I played a little bit of corner. When I got a pick, if I did see that quarterback coming at me, I'm laying you out, bro. I'm taking your ball. I'm taking your pride. I'm taking your position, and I'm laying you out. I think Teddy made the right move considering what Teddy is. I think Baker Mayfield is a perfect example of someone who doesn't know how to tackle, going out there tearing his labrum because he wants to go check a strong safety. You didn't go check the free safety. You checked the strongest dude in that DB class. You went out there and you attacked him, and he laid you out. He stiff-armed you. We've seen Derrick Henry stiff-arm guys, and honestly, Teddy Bridgewater throughout his career hasn't been the most healthiest guy either. Mm-hmm. So to not only throw an interception, but to then potentially injure yourself and force Drew Lock to be put in the game with Vic Fangio being the head coach, I think is the worst thing at all. I mean, we're talking, Coach, we talk about it every week. Teddy check down. The best ability is availability for Teddy Bridgewater. Just being there, being present, being healthy. I would like to see more of an effort, like maybe chase him a little bit, maybe play some tag. You trying to get him. Oh no, like you trip, didn't get him. You try to dive for him, didn't work. But to just kind of stand there, I mean, it does come across as arrogant. It comes across as you don't care. I just don't think that's the case, though. I think at the end of the day, you also have to look at it like this. If Joe intercepts the ball from me and Coach is a lineman, a 350-pound lineman, and Joe's running at me, if Coach is that lineman, he could lay me out and say it was a block. That's the problem. Anybody could go and try to block Bridgewater. And anybody.
Fletcher Cox.
Exactly. Do you want Fletcher Cox laying with all the okay? The refs will not say a word. This will not be roughing the passer. This will be straight up. He was blocking, and he lays out Teddy Bridgewater. That's where I'm coming from.
I agree with you on that whole situation if it was that. But technically, it was nobody. It was a DB.
No,
It wasn't a strong safety. It wasn't a free safety. It wasn't even a linebacker. It was a DB. Like you could have pushed him, you could have grabbed him, you could have did anything. Because the simple fact of the matter, I lied. I was wrong. They were down 7. It was 20. It was 2013.
Right.
You was driving the field because I forgot where the ball was at.
I think it was like a 78-yard return. Yeah, they were.
Yeah, you was driving the field. So even you could have played defense and would have stopped them. At least you had another chance. That's my whole thing. Because we say, hey, they're still in the playoffs. Yeah, they're 5-5.
They lost what 5 straight?
Yeah,
3 or 5. They lost 3 or 5.
I'm looking at it real quick. No, they didn't lose 5 straight. They beat Washington. They beat the Cowboys. Then they lost to the Eagles. But you play the Chargers. Then you backdoor it. They're on bye. So they play the Chargers. They play the Chiefs. They beat the Lions. They play the Bengals, Raiders, Chargers, Chiefs. So pretty much all your games, like your division games, are at the end.
Right.
And then they could go 9-8. Why couldn't they?
But Coach,
9-8
before we get off topic, you mentioned it was just a corner. It was just a DB. He can do anything to him. He can push him. He can knock him out. But it's that same principle of, well, he can do anything to Teddy. And if Teddy Bridgewater tears his ACL trying to tackle somebody, how mad are you going to be about that whole situation?
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't be mad at all?
Because here's my thing.
Like if you're not a fan, if you're the head coach, are you like, what were you doing?
No, I wouldn't. Because you know why? Because you know why, regardless of the situation, if you make the tackle.
Right.
Because we're playing the if game.
Right. No, yeah.
Say you make the tackle.
Right.
Say you get a pick 6. Now it's 2020.
That's a lot to ask.
No, but I'm saying, Joe, you can't sit there and say, well, you can't say if he goes to try to tip the tackle that he gets hurt. It's the same way. We can sit here, you can play all the devil's advocate. You say, well, what if this? What if that? What if this? Make the tackle.
Right.
Because
that comes down to, I know these guys are in the NFL. I know they know how to tackle by now. But that comes down to, if you're not participating in it in a week-to-week basis, I don't trust a lot of these guys to make a tackle. I don't think they can.
But that's different. You're talking about a defensive player. Slay has never been known as a punt returner, right?
Right.
He's never been known as a kickoff returner, correct?
Hey, but he's known as someone who'll lay you out, right?
Mm-hmm.
How's he gonna lay him out with the ball in his hand?
Stiff arm.
Come on, man.
There's a lot of dirty.
Y'all acting like Slay. Slay's not known as a returner. Like, there's a difference.
Teddy's not known as a tackler.
Hey, Slay knows he's not returning it.
Okay, so
let me lay out Teddy on my way over.
So what you guys saying is this?
What happened to Baker, Coach? Just leave it.
If they don't make the playoffs because of one game, we can always go back to this game and say, if you made the tackle, we had a chance. Because
they were losing
the game to win.
They were losing that game at the time.
Straight.
It was, but that's look. Who's better, Dallas or Philly?
Dallas.
Whose offense better?
Dallas.
Well, hold on. Football, Washington football team or Phillies?
I think the football teams went with.
I'm gonna say
they
them.
can throw the ball.
But that's what I'm saying. They were down by.
Because you hate my boy Heineke, that's why.
I mean, the Titans lost to the Jets, so like it's not a 1-to-1 comparison.
Well, the Titans lost to the Jets because they took their whole entire team out.
Coach and I came back on the show that following week, and we were just like, I don't know.
I'm just saying, I'm perfectly fine with my starting quarterback not putting himself in a position to get hurt. Yeah. Plain and simple. I really am. Listen, you're the head coach. You go and you look at him and you say, really, and then you move it on.
So like, can I ask you this? Can I ask you this? If that was Tom Brady, you think he would try to make the tackle?
Hell no.
I think. Listen, let me show you. Okay, no. Hold on. As soon as you said that, Coach, there was a play that came to mind. It was in the Super Bowl against the Falcons where the guy intercepts the ball and returns it for a touchdown. And there's the famous photo of Tom Brady jogging his way and diving at his feet. Tom Brady did not stay up on his feet because he knew if he was up on his feet, he was more likely to get injured as opposed to diving at the guy's feet. Yeah, absolutely. And if Tom Brady goes out of that game, they don't come back 28-3. Teddy Bridgewater, if he was chasing the guy from the side and he dove at his feet, that's the play. I just don't think quarterbacks are physically built to take on any player on the field one-on-one. I just don't believe it.
I look. You got to realize, first off, you're talking about Tom Brady running and catch a DB. That DB, number one, he's not trying to hurt Tom Brady. He's not thinking about that.
He's trying to score a touchdown, same as Slay.
I would be thinking about that.
If you had the ball, if you had the ball in your hand, instead of scoring a touchdown, you would try to run. You try to hurt Tom, run into Tom Brady. Even Teddy Bridgewater.
No.
Yes.
Oh man, you're trying to look. Y'all making it seem like
I'm telling you what I would do.
I'm just saying, don't be fooled. Hey, hold on, wait.
If I see you in coach, all I'm saying is if I catch the ball, I intercept it. I'm like, oh, sweet. I've done this many times. I think I've had like 3 pick sixes ever. It's the only thing. I'm looking at it like this. If I don't see you or you are not in my line of sight, you're good. I will not go looking for you. I'm trying to get the touchdown, like you said. If I see you in my line of sight, I'm going through you. And I don't care if I lose the ball. I don't care what happens. I just know the next drive, you're not throwing the ball. It will be that backup quarterback who's going to have to warm up. There will be a 5-minute timeout so this kid can prepare. Coach, you can't tell me you don't see this guy, a sitting duck, just chilling there. I'm coming through you. And that's just how it's going.
And look, and you can see that. I'm telling you, if I had got a pick, I'm telling you, people that I know have got a pick, they're not trying to hurt the quarterback. They don't care about the quarterback.
I'm not trying to hurt you, but if you in my way,
if I can get 6, if I can get 7 points, we're gonna take the 7.
I'm taking you and the 6.
Oh man. See,
listen. Don't be fooled by Teddy Bridgewater's complexion. He's a lot closer to Tom Brady's speed than he is to Lamar Jackson's speed. All right, Teddy is not the athlete that people think like.
It's not. No one's saying that. My thing is, you're tackle. Just grab him.
Okay, but not every quarterback can tackle. Listen, not every punter is Pat McAfee. Not every kicker is Adam Vinatieri. Sometimes these guys are just really, really not good at doing things that aren't their job.
Right.
And guess what?
What?
Deion Sanders can't tackle.
But he's in the Hall of Fame.
He's going to. I'm saying
one hell of an athlete.
All I'm saying is, regardless of the situation, I'm not asking for a phenomenal tackle. Just grab them, hold them, do something.
That's easier said than done. That's easier said than done.
How do you know if he didn't try?
Where was the running back?
If he would have tried, if he would at least tried an attempt, then guess what? You wouldn't be talking about this. He know he was wrong because guess what happened?
He apologized.
You knew you were wrong. You apologize. Oh, I'm sorry.
So wait, Coach, you've never done anything that you've apologized for where inside you were kind of like, no, I'm good with my decision. I know I have to apologize, but I'm good with my decision.
On the football field? No.
Anywhere.
No, man. Not in the football field.
Oh, come on.
Not in the football field.
I had a couple of roughing
because when you're playing, you're playing.
A couple of roughing of the passers that I don't regret.
I say this with all due respect, Coach. You, sir, are a liar.
In football? There's nothing I can sit there and I can say is like, dang, I messed up. Because even if they got a pick when I played wide receiver, I went to go make the tackle.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look. I ran, even though the ball was on the other side of the field. I at least attempted to try to make tackle. I just
even though you knew your effort wasn't going to change the outcome of the play.
Coach, you telling me there was a time, and I know it comes back down to this all the time. Why is it every time I go off mute, someone want to text me? Anyways, you tell me there's one time quarterback threw you a bad ball, right? And you don't catch it. But you gonna say, all right, that's on me. You just gonna suck it up, you're gonna move on. Bro, you know that's not on you, coach. You know that's not on you, coach. You know it was a bad ball.
But you gotta realize, here's one thing that you gotta realize. Regardless, I don't never badmouth a quarterback because quarterback.
That's what I'm saying though. You know for a fact it wasn't you, but you're gonna be like, all right, that was me, my fault.
Yeah, my bad.
I just said, give me a chance. I said, hey, I gotta make that. Because that's the thing about when you look at yourself, you put yourself in these levels, you gotta make plays. Right. And one thing about it is, if you throw me the ball with the best of my ability, I'm gonna try to make this play. Right. Even if you overthrow it. If you overthrow it, guess what? I'm gonna make the tackle because guess what? When he overthrow the ball, he comes say, "Hey, my bad on throw." I said, "Hey, man, don't worry about it. Defense finna get a stop. We finna go back out here and do it again." That's even as a coach because you can't just dwell on the negativity.
It seems that the Broncos fans and ex-players are having an easy time dwelling on the negativity.
Yeah, because you're playing the Eagles. Eagles don't have an offense. You had a 10.
Jalen Hurts at times has looked really good. That offense, they're a perfect seesaw team. They're either up or they're down. There's no middle ground with them.
In the second half, guess what? In the second half of that game, they only scored 3 points.
Listen, though, I'll be real.
They win the game?
You are a legitimate running back, and I love Jordan Howard, but you are a legitimate running back away from actually having a pretty solid offense. I think you are one off-season connection with Devontae and Hurts away from being solid. I'm not going to go out there and say they're a top 10 offense, but I think there's a lot of potential with what these guys might be able to do in the next couple of years. But I think the salary cap just kills them.
Hey, how many points did the Patriots score in the second half Thursday night? Is anybody criticizing them because they didn't score a ton of points in the second half? No, they got the win.
Oh, Lord.
You comparing to the Falcons.
Hey, the Falcons are 500.
Hey, moving on. Talking about since we're talking about Thursday night games.
You always say it, Coach. No, ATL, stand up.
For my picks, I didn't pick them these last 2 weeks.
Come on, Coach. Come on.
Hey, Patriots Falcons game. Are the Patriots for real?
I mean, define real. Are they a playoff team? Yeah. Are they a Super Bowl contender? Not right now. No. They're a team that's still limited on offense when they can run the ball really well with Stevenson, with Bolden, with Harris, when they can get the play action game working to Hunter Henry and some of the wide receivers. We saw Aguilar just uncovered across the middle running in for a touchdown. They're not a team that strikes fear in you offensively. They're a team that absolutely wants to punish you defensively. This defense is a Bill Belichick staple of pressure on the interior line. A pass rusher like Matthew Judon, who, again, right now the Ravens lost 2 pass rushers in the offseason. Ngakoue and Judon both are having really good seasons. Judon just passed his career high with 7 games to go. It's insane. But no, this team isn't – people putting them like in the top echelon or Super Bowl contenders. No, they're not there right now. They're 11 games in. They haven't had a bye week. It's a rookie quarterback. Let's just calm it down a little bit. They're beating the teams they're supposed to beat. They went toe-to-toe with Dallas and lost. They went toe-to-toe with Tampa Bay and lost. They beat up on the Jets. They beat up on the Falcons. They beat up on Carolina. I'm not diminishing those wins. I'm a Patriots fan. I'll take the wins every day. They're not losing stupid games, and they're being competitive with good teams. That's all you can ask for right now.
Mike, what you think?
We talking about the Patriots, right?
Yes.
I was just making sure. But it's a tricky situation because I really do think you have something great with Bill Belichick. You have a great culture. I don't think he's the greatest coach, but I think you have a great culture. I think he's a great coach. I don't think he's the greatest. You know what I mean? Like that was always the conversation Coach and I always had. Was it Tom or was it Coach or was it Belichick? I think it's both. But I think the culture that he instills holds strong and holds true. That wasn't Tom Brady's culture. That was literally Bills, and Tom has just turned that into his own in Tampa, and he's doing it his own way in a certain kind of vibe. Like you're seeing all the ugly stepchildren going into Tampa with Tom, where Bill taught him that. We taught him, okay, we're gonna take Hernandez, we're gonna take all these guys, big guys like Moss, big guys like this, big guys like that. We're gonna
Corey
take
Dillon all the way back.
Exactly. We're gonna take Josh Gordon 5 different times. Like we're willing to take a chance on these guys because that's what we do to win games. You're willing to take a chance on AB. You're willing to take a chance on Fournette. We all forget about Fournette having problems. What was it, Jacksonville? He had a hell of problems with Jacksonville, and now it's so much better. It's definitely something I look at it though. With a rookie quarterback, there is no real expectation. It's just trying to find that identity. I hate everybody so much.
Stop being so popular.
Imagine that no one will text me for the rest of the day, but when I'm on the show, all day long. But when you have a rookie quarterback, there's no expectation. I see it as more finding that identity to go into year 2. I think, we're starting to see that now with the Bears and Justin Fields. That identity is every single member of this coaching staff will not be here next year. Let's just have fun until then. With the Patriots, it's okay, let's continue to build this chemistry. Let's continue to do what we're doing. We have a great defense with not a lot of big names. We're doing it at a very small margin of money. Like they're putting in a lot of money into this team. I'm not going to lie. We all know how much money they're putting into this team. I mean, what was it, Coach? It was like half a billion.
$163 million in guaranteed money this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. But all of them pretty much hit. Every single one of them. I mean, I think Hunter Henry, or what was his name? What was their title?
Jonnu Smith is having a harder time.
Yeah.
And he was the first one who signed. Yeah, right. He was going to be the top
one.
And
Henry or Hunter and all of them, I think there is a question, to say, like, why did you really pay a tight end when you had a rookie quarterback? You weren't really in a position to need one. But I really do think
they were.
They were, but, you definitely could have drafted one. You didn't have to pay an aging one who's already been in his prime. That's really how I just looked at it. But you really can just get away with saying, like, this team is a playoff team. I just don't think they have playoff expectations, if that makes sense. I think they're enjoying the ride. I think they're gaining experience, and they're reloading for year 2. Now, whatever noise they make in year 1, I think that's just something great to bring in to year 2. Now, I don't think the expectation – obviously, Bill will always say the expectation is a Super Bowl championship. But I think nobody in that facility is going into this thinking Mac Jones is going to be Super Bowl MVP and all this other stuff. Like, it's just not going to work like that. I think this is a great season for them. And I do think they have some flaws. I would like to see them draft. I'd like to see Bill go out of pocket. I'd like to see a first-round pick actually go to being a wide receiver. I'd like to see it be someone better for Mac Jones to have that Jalen Hurts type of connection with somebody. That Justin Fields, Darnell Mooney, like we see these young guys getting, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. It's not going to be the same as them because they are like butt brothers. They're doing their own thing. They've been cool for so long. But I do think they're in a really good situation right now. My only problem is, and Joe, you can tell me if I'm wrong, there is nobody that I really look at and say, that's Mac Jones's guy. Like, that's his favorite target right now. But is that really his guy on and off the field? They need to find his guy.
Well, I mean, I think that's the problem with a rookie. I mean, he's acclimated himself really well. Right. Let's not forget, Cam Newton was on this team in training camp and in the offseason where Cam is kind of a guy that people gravitate towards. And Mac Jones had to come in as a first-round pick, as somebody who I think a lot of us thought Cam was going to start the season. And Mac really endeared himself to people of how hard he worked and all that. Who's his guy? I mean, on the field right now, there's 2 guys that stick out. It's Jacoby Myers and Hunter Henry. And I think Kendrick Bourne is making a case to be that guy right in that group too. But the biggest thing is New England did something this season that very few teams have been able to do in the history of the NFL, which is to spend big money in free agency and have at least 3 guys hit and have 3 guys in your draft who also have hit at the same exact time. We always see this. You talked about Stafford earlier, where his offensive line was bad in Detroit. Right now, if you look at Detroit's offensive line, it's one of the best young groups in football. You have Penei Sewell, you have Frank Ragnow, you have all these players where you look and you're like, boy, Stafford really would have liked this. And we were just talking 2 years ago, Tom Brady had no offensive weapons. They couldn't do these things with him, and that's why he left. Well, now you look and you're like, you know what? Kendrick Bourne's a really good number 3 wide receiver.
Right.
Hunter Henry's a really good tight end. The defense gets after the passer, which they haven't done. So to have those 3 things happen at the same exact time is not something that happens really for any franchise in the first year. It just doesn't. If you get 3 rookies who contribute to a team, you feel really lucky. But again, like Mac Jones, I wasn't high on him coming into the draft. We did a live draft podcast. I was not happy when they drafted him. I would have preferred Justin Fields. I thought he could do more. Right now, Mac Jones is showing what happens when you are the adult in the room. And the reason that he's able to do that is because he has a head coach like Bill Belichick. Let's look at the rookie coaches or the rookie quarterbacks right now. You have Urban Meyer. Is he an adult in the room that Trevor Lawrence can look up to? No, because it's a crappy situation from the moment he was hired. You look at the number 2 pick, a first-year head coach in Robert Saleh, who doesn't even know who he is as a head coach yet. That's not somebody that has an organizational control.
Right.
Kyle Shanahan is a losing head coach. You just talked about the Bears with Justin Fields. I mean, they're going to be gone next year. So Mac Jones could come in and just say, listen, I don't need to worry about all this other stuff. I don't need to worry about any of that. I need to worry about this. And that's the benefit of going in the middle part of the first round to an established organization. And that right there is why the Patriots have had success this year.
Right. Coach.
He wants me to leave right now. He says, get out of here. Just leave.
No. It's all good. I just honestly, truthfully, I think a lot of people we're talking about the Patriots and this and that. And even you hear it on probably ESPN and you don't probably watch it on CBS and Fox when they talk about it. It's the persona of what Bill and Brady had. I think the Patriots is a decent team. I don't think they're nothing special. Like I said, if you look at the games they won, those are the teams that they should have won. The teams that they lost, hey, you lost to the Cowboys. They lost to playoff teams. Like they have a pretty much, I'm not gonna say a cakewalk schedule, but they have a good, decent schedule. And I think when they play the Titans, I think when they play the Bills and they play the Colts, those are going to be the games that's going to pretty much say, hey, are they really, really who they think they are? I didn't like the free agents that they brought in, especially on the offensive side, because the guys that you brought in, they're not a number 1. They're 2s and 3s on every team. Hunter Henry was not the go-to guy with the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Even the other tight end that was at Tennessee, he wasn't the go-to guy. And I said even Aguilar wasn't the go-to guy with the Raiders. I just think, and I think that's what's going to be the struggle when they play against a team with a playoff team. So even the Bills, I think the Bills is a decent team. I don't see Super Bowl. I see them making the playoffs. But when you play a team that has a secondary, has an offense that can do some things, I don't see them. I haven't seen them winning. But we could go back and forth. I'm not a big Bill. I think Bill's a good coach. I don't think he's a great coach. I think he was lucky and blessed to have Brady. And then Mike, you say this right here. You say they need to draft the receiver. That's what Bill sucks at.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
He sucks drafting offensive guys.
That's right. But here's the thing that he's done is he took a first-round busted N'Keal Harry who can't get open, who catches contested balls, which is a bad recipe in the NFL, and has turned him into one of the best blocking wide receivers in football for a run-first team. I mean, if you watch that Falcons game, N'Keal Harry looks like a tight end out there making blocks. He's taking on defensive ends. He's chipping linebackers and stuff. Like, Bill, again, people argue the Bill Brady thing. That's a whole other show. You could argue that until the cows.
Yeah. That's a documentary.
But Bill takes a player. He looks at coach. He looks at Mike. He looks at me. He goes, "Don't tell me what you can't do. Don't tell me what you suck at. Tell me what you're good at. Why do you work on a show? Why can you talk about this? Don't tell me what you can't talk about. I don't care if you don't follow basketball. It doesn't matter. We're talking football." Like he finds what you do well. And as long as you're willing to acknowledge that you have faults yourself, then he'll try and bring out the best in you. And that is what makes him a great head coach. And we can look around the league. There's not many of those guys.
No. I don't know. That's why I said good. That's why I say good. But I think the league. I think again.
Joe, you're gonna get very acclimated to coach's words. He takes his words very seriously. Good,
No, because we say
good, great are very different things.
Hey, because me and Mike talk about this all the time.
Super and superstar.
Mike is in that. No. Mike is in that age where everybody gets a trophy. Even no. I'm in that age. Look, either you're the best, you're okay.
Who
you're
got a trophy?
And you suck.
I ain't get no participation trophy.
Hey, because you know
my little cousins, I just missed it. I'm 90s.
Hey,
I just missed it.
But the thing about it is, I have to see a game, and this is legitimately a true game that we're like, hey, that is a playoff team. Because when they play, even though they play Tampa Bay, that was a good game. Blah 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 blah. They lost. Cowboys, another team everybody's talking about the Super Bowl. Guess what? They lost. The rest of the teams that they played, they haven't played anybody that you can sit there and say, the Texans, they should have lost to the Texans, but guess what? They're not a playoff team. Right. Jets is terrible. Everybody knows. I've said it from the beginning. The Chargers they're very, very soft. They're a soft team. They're just a finesse team. So that the Panthers, Sam Darnold was hurt. Browns, Mustang was hurt. And then you beat the Falcons. Like, I mean, we can, like I said, you might say they're a year away. I don't think they're a year away. I think Bill, he's the Patriots. I think Bill sucks. I think he's a good gamer, and like you said, Joe, he's great at putting people that's what they're good at and utilizing them. Mm-hmm. But the issue is getting those guys to do that. He sucks at bringing in A1 talent, because who brought the A1 talent? It was Brady. Because who would not play for a guy that takes pay cuts?
Right.
Like he takes.
Yeah, but that's a little bit of a misconception about the pay cuts. He never got the $500 million deal, but he got plenty of money in his career in New England. The difference is, I would much rather have. Let's compare it to cooking. I want Bill Belichick, who can take grade B ingredients and make a grade A meal. If you give me the best people in the league, this is the argument against Phil Jackson in the NBA. Are you really a Hall of Fame coach? Because the only time you won was with Hall of Fame players. When you had mediocre players, you weren't very good. So Bill Belichick has arguably the greatest quarterback of all time and wins. He has the greatest wide receiver, a top 3 wide receiver, you could argue, in Randy Moss, and they put up an offensive explosion the league had really never seen. And then he gets middling players. And guess what? He still wins. Not everybody wins Super Bowls. Sorry, coach. Like, there's only so many. Not everybody gets one. The Bears got one because they had an all-time great defense. And they've had good teams since then, but they don't get to celebrate. So, I mean, again, it's just – I don't know if they're a year away, because no team is a year away. Because every time we crown somebody as, oh, they're going to win it this year, they usually don't win it that year.
So, but like I said, Joe, you said it earlier. You don't have the Patriots making it to the Super Bowl.
No, I don't.
You haven't making it to the playoffs.
Yeah. They're a playoff team. Yeah. And after the playoffs, who knows what happens? Right. We saw the Giants win 3 road games and knock off the Patriots.
Joe made a good point, though. Joe said Bill made one of the best blocking wide receivers for run-heavy offense, a run-first offense. And I'm one of those guys that believes – I mean, look at me as a Bears fan. I'm going to be straight up. I mean, Walter Payton and the 85 Bears defense, what a monster, what a unit. And it really did change the league for a while and how they affiliate that. You can have, no disrespect, a Jim McMahon as your quarterback and not a lot of great offensive talent other than that. And Walter. So you look at it and you say, fine, that's cool. In this modern day, if the same thing with the Cleveland Browns, if Chubb and Hunt are your offense, you're not winning the Super Bowl. I think that's why I say, I'm not saying this, Coach. I'm not saying they're a year away. I'm saying they're a year away from really finding out who they are. They can't go into next year saying we're a run-first team. This is Mac Jones in year 2. We're airing it out, and we're going to have a great run game.
But you can't. That's the problem. You can't air it out because you don't have a guy that can beat the one-on-one matchup.
That's what I'm saying, though. Bring him in. Find one.
And that's been the problem with Bill, trying to find someone that can beat the one-on-one matchup.
But you hear what I'm trying to say, though, right?
I agree with you. What you're saying. And my thing is, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you got to have players that's going to make plays.
Right.
There's no one on that. There's no one on that New England offense that you see like can make plays, because you have to realize either you have to have a quarterback that can put him in a position to make a play, or you got to have a skill guy that can put him in a position to make a play.
Right.
And they don't have that. Don't get me wrong. The quarterback is good, but he need guys to get open. He's not. His accuracy is not A1. So that's my knock on him. But Bill can't put him in that situation because you don't have. You spent all this money on grade 3 players. That's the only thing I'm saying. Who's
okay? Grade 3 players as opposed to like a fantasy draft. But if they fit your system, then they go up a grade. I mean, if you have because
do they fit the system? Because again, look, let's see, Jets, Texans, Jets, Chargers, a banged up Panthers, banged up Browns, Falcons.
Cool.
Is that really
the Bills?
But then
the Bills are the favorites. The Bills are the favorites in the AFC along with Tennessee. The Bills lost to the Jaguars 9-6.
No.
You lose to bad teams because you lose focus. The one thing Bill Belichick doesn't allow his teams to do is lose focus and lose against bad teams like the Jets, the Falcons, the beat up Browns, the beat up Chargers.
Joe, can I say this?
Absolutely.
Mike, how do I feel about the Bills? How do I feel about it? Thank you. Look, I never put Bills up there. Joe, Mike will tell you, I never put them. I said they second
but
round.
A lot of people have. I
know, and that's the thing. And that was the argument me and Mike since day one about Josh Allen and all them. I don't think they're what they are. I've never put them that high. But hey, we got to move on because we run out of time. So this is what we're gonna do. Hey, we're gonna go through. I'm gonna go through the picks. I'm gonna call out all the games, and also we're gonna do Thursday because it's Thanksgiving.
Coach, we ain't gonna talk about injuries, bro.
Oh, they'll come up in the games.
I'm having a rough week.
Hey, it's 1-11 now. We got this is gonna take because how we just got through arguing over this.
I'm having a rough week, Coach.
Hey, we know it's always next year. Here we go.
No, there's not.
Hey, Saints versus Eagles. Who you got? Who you got and why? Joe, go ahead.
I have the Saints. Simeon's played really well. Sean Payton has found something with him in the way that offense runs. I know Kamara's out again, but the defense has played tough, so I'm going to take the Saints.
Kamara's out.
Mike, yeah,
he's out again.
Give me Jalen. Who the hell is Trevor Simeon? Give me Jalen.
Hey, I'm going to go, and I don't even know if he's watching or listening. He's an Eagles fan. Fly, Eagles, fly. So I'm gonna ride with them because, like I said, that defense.
So, Coach, I got a question though.
Yes, sir.
What are we gonna do? Because I missed last week. I didn't get to give picks. You really far ahead right now, my guy.
Hey, that's your fault.
Man, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
Ain't nothing I can do about that. But my boy Sean, I don't know if you listening or you watching wherever you at. Look, I got it for you. I got them Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Hey, they don't have an offense, man. Saints, you relying on the receiver.
No identity.
So no identity. So here we go. Dolphins.
Where's Michael Thomas? Who knows?
Oh, he's out. I don't know. He's out. He's chilling. Dolphins, Jets. Mike, who you got?
Dolphins.
Why?
Jets.
Which one?
No, Dolphins. My answer why is it's the Jets.
Joe, who you got?
It should be the Dolphins, but I'm going to take the Jets. Joe Flacco is the starting quarterback because they're worried about the Miami defense. And I actually do like some of the pieces they have. Joe Flacco, while not elite now, ever, or in the future, I just think the Jets can pull this one out. I don't know why. I can't believe I'm betting on Joe Flacco, but yeah, I'll take the Jets.
I like the Dolphins. One thing about it is the defense is going to be good. And Joe Flacco is a statue back there. Mm-hmm. So it's an easy target. So I'm gonna ride out. I'm gonna ride with the Dolphins. I think they're gonna do their thing. Here we go.
Yes,
Washington versus Panthers. Joe, who you got?
I have Washington. I think Cam Newton is still not physically there. I think he's gonna struggle to get acclimated to the system, the Matt Rule system. It's not a system he's played in before. I think Washington on defense can hopefully push the receivers around a little bit. I think if they get free down the field, Cam can just flick that wrist. So I'm gonna take Washington.
Mike,
let me get super Cam. I know I was on last week, but Coach knows, Joe knows. Hey, Who was the only one in the ASAP network that said Cam's going back to Carolina?
You said it.
Oh, I'm the wizard. I did it again. I will say, though, I'm going Carolina. Chase Young being out is the deciding factor to me. I'm praying for that man. Chase Young is a generational talent, and it truly is tragic to see him going down the way he did. So it's really Cam versus Heineke. I look at it like that. Terry McLaurin, a dog. But again, at the end of the day, is Gilmore? Gilmore's still not back yet, I don't think. But
Gilmore's playing.
No, he's playing.
No, if Gilmore's playing, bro, how, bro? No, you got J.C. Horn, you got all of that cat from Jacksonville that they brought in. I think Carolina really shows out today.
Coach?
Oh, I'm going with the Panthers. I'm not even gonna say because of Cam. Really, it's more so the defense. I think the Panthers defense can do their thing.
Carolina.
Yeah, you got the defensive player of the year when he was with the Patriots.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be real. I don't do backup teams, but I really do like Carolina as a team. I always have. I just like the vibe.
Yeah. So I think they're gonna ride out. I think they're gonna utilize Cam to the best of his abilities. I don't know about. I wouldn't have started him. I kind of would have used him like they were doing, getting inside the red zone. Now you have that extra target. But again, you're doing that now. You free up your one-on-ones with your receivers, so he can throw the ball deep. That's the one good thing he can't do is throw deep and throw to a tight end. So I'm gonna ride with the Panthers. Here we go. Colts versus Bills.
Oh, I thought we were going somewhere else.
No.
I'm gonna say Colts versus Bills. I'm gonna say Bills just because after last week, they need to recover. They need to tap in on this because if they don't, it's gonna look very bad very fast. So I'm gonna put my money on McDermott and Allen, but this Colts team is legit.
Who you got?
I'm going to take the Bills. I think the Colts defense, while improved when you play outside, when you play in cold weather, I think it's going to be an issue. And I think they're going to be able to move the ball. Diggs had his easily best game of the year. I think Allen probably had his best game of the year too. And the Bills defense is going to be focused on stopping Taylor. Whether they can or not is different. But I'm not sure that Carson Wentz is at the point where he can punish you down the field like I think they need to against that Bills defense. So I'm going to take the Bills.
I am going to take the Colts.
Okay. Jonathan Taylor, I've watched him since Wisconsin days, is one hell of an athlete, bro.
And I think one thing about it is I think they have to really, really, really. I don't think the Bills can stop Jonathan Taylor. I think the only person who can stop Jonathan Taylor is the offensive coordinator because he doesn't want to run the ball that much. Like he holds them back. I never understood that. And if they let Jonathan Taylor run and let Carson Wentz play off him, then I really, really think they'll win. Like I said, Colts was one of my picks from the beginning to make the playoffs. If the Colts, they got to stop the run game. I don't trust Josh Allen beating them with the pass. So I'm gonna ride with the Colts. Hey, we got Lions versus Browns.
Tim Boyle's making his first career start for the Lions. I think that pretty much tells you my pick. Cleveland. Nick Chubb's back off the COVID list, and so yeah, Cleveland.
Hey, I'm screwed anyways. I'm back. This is the week. This is the week they take a dub. I'm taking Detroit. I'm with y'all. I'm rocking with Detroit. This is the week. Y'all tied last week. Motivation. We're going somewhere. Maybe we thrive through. Maybe we get something going. Maybe this is the week for the future Super Bowl run. Lost 7 straight. Now we're going to win 9 straight. It's going to end on a 9-7 season, coach. We're going to get it. Keep pounding, whatever the hell they say out in Detroit. Y'all got it.
I don't condone recreational drug use on Sunday mornings.
I do.
Mike, do you know that's the second Patriots fan said that about you?
Man, listen, bro. And guess what? Where's the first one?
Hey, I'm just saying. Everybody keeps saying that about you when you pick these off the wall teams. I'm gonna go with the Browns. The Lions
are off the wall pick.
Hey, the Lions are who they are. They are who they are.
They're winners.
Hey, because Mike, you're trying to catch up. Because right now you're losing. So like I said, the Lions are who they are. So it
you
is
gonna
what it
see
is.
today. You gonna see today. What my boy Jared? He gonna. Actually, that's cap. That's cap. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's gonna be probably. It's definitely not gonna be Jared. I'm sorry. I can't even flodge.
It's Tim Boyle.
Yeah.
Tim Boyle is starting the game. Jared Goff is out.
Timmy Boyle. Oh, T-Boy. Dog. He's a dog. He's a.
All right, here's a
dog.
question. If you really know who Tim Boyle is he white or black?
Man, that's a great question. I'm gonna say black.
Yeah, so all right, that right there is the answer.
Is he black?
Yeah.
I'm not telling you. You pick the Lions. You got to ride with them.
Well, I
All
said
right, here we go. 49ers versus the Jags.
49ers. They're on a real good hot streak right now.
I'm actually going to take Jacksonville. They've won 2 out of the last 3, and San Francisco's coming off a division win.
Right.
And I just don't think physically they're all there. So I think Jacksonville can get the win.
I think that offense just has momentum though, man. Like you put up 38 against the Rams. You beat Chicago's defense down in Chicago. I think they have really good momentum going on.
No, they suck. Them suck a lot. But between the games, they lost to a beat up Arizona Cardinals team. No, but
No,
again,
you got a lot of excuses today, Coach. I ain't gonna lie to you.
but
Joe,
again,
Joe hasn't given me an excuse today.
hey, well, Mike, can I ask you a question? How many times did you beat me in picks? I'll wait.
Hey,
I'll wait.
we were 2 back. I was 2 back from you until I missed last week. Just
And that's
know.
everybody's. But let me ask you this: are you winning though? See, that's that mindset. Like I just said.
Though.
No.
I was though.
You see that? You see what you said? Well, I'm only 2 back, so you feel good about that. You're still losing.
See,
That's that. Hey, but anyway, we're gonna skip over. Hey,
give me Bishop's picks. Give me Bishop's picks from last week, and we can go back to racing. But if you don't want to get back to racing, shut that ass up. I don't want to hear it.
Hey, if that's the case, you're 4 games back then. Because Bishop got last.
Fine. I'll be 4 games back. I'll be 4 games back.
Who was your pick, Coach? Jacksonville or San Francisco?
Oh, I got 49ers. I got 49ers.
Right. Keep that energy. You can do all that talking just for the same pick as me.
Hey, you're right. Hey, Texans, Titans. I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna ride with the Titans because they're the hottest team right now, and they're already the hottest team in the AFC. They figure out ways to win. Without Derrick Henry, they still figure things out. So I'm riding with the Titans. Texans, they're just getting ready to try to get this top 5 draft pick, and hopefully they'll have 3 more first round draft picks because they're gonna trade Deshaun. But that's another conversation. So I'm riding with the Titans.
I'm going Titans too.
Yeah, it's a clean sweep. I'll take the Titans.
Let's talk about my Bears, man.
Hey, Packers and Vikings, who you got?
Is Dalvin Cook playing?
Who?
Dalvin?
Yes.
I'm gonna say Vikings, low key. I really
Okay.
I'm going to say Vikings, not low-key. Aaron Rodgers is coming in with a serious toe injury that limited him in practice. The guy basically hasn't practiced in 2 weeks. Aaron Jones is out. A.J. Dillon is getting his first career start. Zimmer's played really well at times against them. And believe it or not, Cousins has a record. I think it was brought up by Tony the other night, 3-3-1. So, yeah, I'm going to take Minnesota.
I'm going to ride with Green Bay. Even though Aaron Rodgers,
I believe Aaron Jones is like completely out, right? Like not even a little bit in the offense.
No, yeah, he's 1 to 2 weeks. No, he's out.
He's out. He's not playing. I don't care.
Know.
For what Aaron Rodgers don't have to do too much. He's not throwing vertical throws. He's gonna drop to the screens. He's gonna run the quick outs.
He hasn't been doing anything anyway.
And they're gonna run the drag, and they're gonna try to run the ball. So I really believe, and I think the defense can hold their own against Vikings. I don't trust Cousins. So I'm riding with the Packers. Here we go. Ravens versus Bears, the battle of the injuries.
Can I say something first?
Go.
Nobody knows right now whether Lamar Jackson is playing or not.
Mm-hmm.
I find that weird. I find that very questionable. Bateman is also not in.
Hey, breaking news 2 minutes ago, Josina Anderson said, I'm told Lamar Jackson is, quote, not doing well enough to play. So he is probably not going to play. He's almost guaranteed not going to play in this game.
And with that being said, we have to look at the other side of the board. Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, Allen Robinson, Eddie Jackson, all out. All out. They are not playing today. I understand Lamar Jackson is not playing. And I'm going to go out and just say it because I love my boy Justin, that I'm going to give it to the Bears. But I will not be shocked if we still lose this game because the majority of this defense is still out. But I'm going to say Bears only because Lamar is doubtful.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, you were saying, I mean,
bad.
It's been reported that it is non-COVID, but a bug came through the Ravens locker room. A bunch of players are suffering right now. Lamar just happens to be the most high profile.
Is it just me though? Like, I wanted to ask y'all too. Lamar Jackson gets like a stomach bug a few times a year, it seems.
Well, he got COVID last year.
Right. No, but he's had like stomach issues a lot.
Yeah. No, you're right. He's had some. I mean, even during the game, when he had to leave with some intestinal issues. I don't want to be a doctor, but I wonder if he's ever been tested for something like a Crohn's disease or
like
some
ulcers or something,
ulcers, something along those lines where it could affect his digestive system. No, I agree with you. Man, as much as I love Justin Fields, I love Ohio State. The backup quarterback is Tyler Huntley. I got to take the Bears. I understand that they're beat up on defense, but this is a game. I mean, this could be a 13-10 game. Can Justin Fields and that team win 13-10? Yeah, they can. So I'll take the Bears.
Coach, talk to me.
I'm gonna go Bears.
Oh,
wow,
that's
sweet.
Here's why I'm gonna go Bears. If Lamar's playing or not playing, he's not going to be 100%. So that means he can't move as much.
Oh, it's going to be bad.
And then it's not even who's all out for the Bears defense.
Mm-hmm.
They're still professionals. And if he's at 50%, then the playing field is even. But the receiver core, I don't see a receiver or running back that can take over for the Baltimore. That's
Hollywood Brown's out too.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So I don't see a receiver that can really just do anything productive without Lamar, because Lamar is the guy that he brings 7 in the box, 8 in the box, and to get the 1-on-1. And now you don't have a burn on the outside. So I feel good I feel good. If that young pup, because I said it, we talked about this a long time ago, Mike. I said this was around the time where he's gonna get this playing time. Because we said it at the very beginning of the season. If he
does, but give him the fucking plays. Give him the plays.
And so again, if he does it, then guess what? I got him. I got the Bears. I'm riding with the Bears. Like I said, I don't trust that defense, the Ravens defense, especially the secondary. Right. They're very, very, very suspect. Montgomery's back. He should be really good to go. He came back last week and he ran the ball more than everybody expected him to touch the ball.
Yeah, I'm furious. But
so that means he must be really, really feeling good. So I'm riding with the Bears, man.
Or it means Matt Nagy's an idiot. But yeah, you're right.
Bengals, Raiders.
Bengals.
The Raiders are in a tailspin right now. This is exactly what we expected a John Gruden-led team to do. He's gone, but it's nice to see they've continued the path. I just think the Bengals are expected to bounce back after a rough couple weeks, and I'd like to see them run the ball more with Mixon. I think the Raiders are toast, so I'll take the Bengals.
I agree. I think the Raiders they have zero leadership, so it's just pretty much whatever on offense. And I'm with everybody else. Bengals defense is suspect, and Bengals are up and down. You don't know what defense is going to show, but I trust their offense more than out of all of them. Here we go.
I could see them sacking Carr a lot. I think that defensive line can really punish the Raiders.
Yeah.
Carr probably sees it too.
Cardinals versus Seahawks.
Give me
Kyler Murray. Oh, Cards. Go ahead, Mike.
Give me Cards. That last week was horrendous. It was a horrible time with Russell Wilson and what they did with Green Bay. That was a joke. I don't care if it was your first game back or not. It was a joke. I think Pete Carroll should be on the hot seat. I think it was just horrible play calling, honestly. I know Russ wasn't 100, but you did not in any way, shape, or form try to help him out. Chris Carson out for the season. So even with Kyler potentially being back, I think he's fine. I think out for Arizona.
Well, Kyler's out. Kyler's out for the game. It's looking like Colt McCoy is going to make his third straight start, which is a concern. It was a concern last year with Kyler being nicked up and injured. DeAndre Hopkins, I'm not sure if he'll be back yet or not.
Right.
As much as I hate to make this pick, I have to take Seattle. I like Colt McCoy. That first game against San Francisco, they were great. I'm just not sure they can replicate that, especially without Hopkins and stuff. But I'm going to take the Seahawks in this one.
That's fair.
I'm going to take the Seahawks. You don't have your ace Boone Coon at receiver, number one. And I don't think – one thing about it, that's what make that offense go with Kyler Murray is he moves around. So he was still a threat. So you had to keep somebody on him. Now putting what's the name back there, he's not a threat. And I guess now you got film on him. Now you kind of understand he can't really surprise anybody. So I'm gonna ride with Seahawks.
I think this is the James Conner game, though. I think this is the game you look at, and James Conner's been great all season, but I think this is the game he is the face of this offense. And I think this is the one where you start to see this is why Pittsburgh was so high on him to begin with.
Yeah, and I agree with you, but I also think that one thing about it is they're gonna stop the run. Seahawks gonna stop the run, and so I really truly, I just think even last week I think Russ Wilson, they
stopped the quarterback run. They didn't stop AJ or none of them.
Who?
The Seahawks.
The Packers?
I'm talking about the Seahawks.
When they played the Packers.
Yeah.
AJ Dillon had a really nice game.
AJ Dillon had a great game.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones did his thing, but he got a little nicked up. But
yeah, Dillon had a really good game against Seattle.
AJ's tiny too. Like, he's not tiny, but compared to James Conner's big. You know what I mean? Like, I think you got grounded.
AJ's a thick guy. AJ's a thick guy.
Hey,
but he ain't no James Conner.
Okay. Well, like I said, my buddy, my guy, I'm gonna go with the Seahawks.
Hey, you do that. Just know I'm 4 back.
Hey, here we go. Cowboys versus Chiefs.
Cowboys.
Chiefs. Amari's out. Defense is struggling. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is back, so maybe that gives a spark on the offense. I doubt it, but we'll see. It's in Kansas City. I take the Chiefs.
I got Chiefs.
I got Chiefs. Fantasy, bro. I hate them.
I got Chiefs. I really think last week kind of proved something. Even with Pat Mahomes, he realized, hey, I can drop it down. I can kick it low, not just chunk it up. And that's where he got a lot of his interceptions. Last week he dropped it, 10-yard passes, 5-yard passes, let him run and make plays. One thing about it is the Cowboys. Here's the only thing that I knock about the Chiefs. Pat Mahomes can't get out the pocket. He has to stay in the pocket. But they don't have a pass rush. So the Cowboys is pretty much relying on that rookie to make it do all the pass rushing because both Gregory's out and Lawrence is out.
Talking about Parsons?
Yeah, Parsons has to make he's the only pass rusher they got. So it's kind of they can really run the ball on them because they're small up in the middle. But we'll see. Amari Cooper is a big hurt because now you don't have to double team him because Amari Cooper is the one guy that can get the one-on-one. Gallup's back, but he's a vertical guy. All he runs is goes. And then I can't think of the other guy.
CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb, he's a dragger across the middle, so you could actually keep a safety to spy on him. So I really think that the Chiefs and the defense, you can say what they want. They're playing better. Better enough to win games. That's all that matters. So I'm gonna ride with the Chiefs. Here we go. We got Steelers Chargers.
Chargers.
I'm gonna go with the Chargers. Only reason I'm going with the Chargers because the Steelers' entire defense is out. Everybody and their mama got COVID. It was like they had a COVID party because like Fitzpatrick's out, TJ Watt's out. So I'm riding. I'm gonna ride with the Chargers.
Yeah, Roethlisberger's back. He's flying separately into LA. He's staying away from the team, even though he's on track to play tonight. I have to go with you guys, though. I think the Chargers at home. Although, don't be shocked when you're watching Sunday Night Football. This is not a Pittsburgh home game, but it is going to look like that and sound like that. That stadium is going to have 75 to 80% Steeler fans in it. So that could make a difference. So don't be shocked if this game's a little bit closer, but I'm going to take the Chargers.
Giants. I'm taking the Chargers also. Giants versus Bucks. I'm riding with Tampa. TB12 all the way. Let's go.
Bucks. Carry the hell on. Bucks.
I'll tell you what, just for the fun of it, I'm going to take the Giants. I think the Giants defense has been playing better. I think right now Tampa Bay is having an issue not being able to run the ball. This is a concern when you have any quarterback, let alone a 44-year-old quarterback who literally the offense revolves around their arm. And their defense is not playing well. So this could be a really nasty, sloppy game where both teams kind of struggle. So I'll take the Giants in the upset.
We got a betting man here. I like it.
Okay. Here we go. Thursday nights. Thursday night. Well, not Thursday night, but Thursday, Thanksgiving is all week, all day. Bears versus Lions.
You know what it is.
Bears.
Bears.
What you with the Lions? You said they're gonna win all these games. Now you getting off ship?
Bears.
Bears.
Raiders versus Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Cowboys. Yeah, Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm riding with them then.
I'm gonna need to hear that Bears Lions pick, Coach.
Bears.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to hear it again.
Just to
Bears.
make you feel better, Mike. Tim Boyle is in fact white, in case you were wondering. So.
Oh, I mean, I figured, bro, but I was like, I wasn't. You brought it up, so I was like, man. Ain't no
But the fact that
way.
you're riding the Lions for the upset and you don't even know what the starting quarterback looks like is just a tad concerning.
I like
don't you think?
Campbell. I like Campbell. He's cool.
Oh my!
I'll
Oh
run through a
my!
brick
You
wall.
probably root for the bad guys in movies, don't you?
Hell yeah, you got to. They got the best stories.
Oh my!
Here we go. Last pick of the day. Bills versus Saints.
Bills.
I thought we did that.
Nope, this Thursday. They got
This
the night
Thursday
game.
night Thanksgiving game.
I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say Bills because I really don't know when Alvin's coming back.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say the Saints.
I bet you will.
I'm gonna say who that gonna beat them Saints. I'm gonna ride with them.
Everybody.
Okay. Hey, well that's it, fellas. Hey, this week is in the books. We'd like to thank Joe for coming on. Joe, you got any last words, man? Any last words?
No, just thank you guys for having me on. This was a lot of fun, and I cannot wait to watch Tim Boyle turn the ball over 6 times and message Mike in the group chat as he ignores me.
I'll be there. I'm with the smoke. I'm with the smoke. Coach, no, I might be wrong, but I'm with the smoke.
That is true. I have to give my boy credit. He will ride or die with whoever he says, no matter what you say about him. Mike, anything else? Any last words?
Just, I don't even know. It's so rough.
And Lamar Jackson is officially out. It has been announced.
I don't
he's
care. Khalil Mack's out all year. I don't.
Hey, well, it's been fun. Everybody, hey, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy Thanksgiving. We'll see you guys on Sunday. We out.
Peace.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.